The US company uses parts imported from Mexico and Canada.
Boeing Canada is showing off a cool new expansion at its Winnipeg facility.
This investment really is about the future.
Not to order jets from Boeing, America's biggest exporter.
Refusing to accept deliveries of Boeing jets.
Stop taking delivery of Boeing aircraft.
And I have to say, we want products made in America, made by American hands.
And I have to say this clearly. We want products built in America, built by American hands. But what happens when the very symbol of American manufacturing, Boeing, faces rejection abroad? Today, we're talking about an aerospace shockwave, refusing Boeing jet deliveries, halting orders from America's largest exporter, and new tariffs hitting Boeing harder than Airbus. Meanwhile, Boeing Canada is proudly expanding its Winnipeg facility, calling it an investment in the future. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Traveling Vibes and hit that like button. It's the best way to support the channel and stay updated on these unfolding stories. Now, let's get into it. Breaking news out of Washington. Donald Trump is raging as Canada pulls off a stunning coup in America's own backyard. In a move no one in the US aerospace industry saw coming, Canadian firms have secured Boeing's multi-billion-dollar contracts, sending shockwaves from Seattle to Wichita, and igniting fears of mass layoffs across America's aerospace heartland. This didn't happen overnight. For months, Trump promised that his aggressive tariff policies would protect American aerospace workers from foreign competition. In fiery rallies from Ohio to Florida, he vowed that no nation, least of all Canada, would ever undercut American jobs again. Back in 2024, sweeping duties were imposed on imported aircraft parts, promoted as a safeguard for Boeing factories in Missouri, South Carolina, and Washington state. But those same tariffs rattled supply chains, strained alliances, and set the stage for today's announcement, one that left Trump blindsided. The shock came straight from Ottawa. Backed by subsidies and international partnerships, Canadian aerospace firms locked down major Boeing supply and service contracts once thought untouchable. We're not talking about minor deals. These are billion-dollar long-term agreements for fuselage assembly, avionics, and maintenance, work that will now be carried out in Quebec and Ontario, not Seattle or St. Louis. For Boeing, this is a survival move, an escape from US tariffs, and an effort to diversify production. But for Washington, the optics are brutal. America's most iconic manufacturer placing critical work in Canadian hands. The reaction was immediate. Trump erupted on Truth Social, calling it a betrayal of American workers and promising retaliation. Analysts warn this isn't just a business adjustment, it's a tectonic shift. With contracts flowing north, the United States risks losing control of its aerospace crown jewel. The fallout is enormous. In Everett, Washington, and Wichita, Kansas, cities built around Boeing jobs, layoffs loom, small businesses brace for impact, and decades of industrial skill could vanish. Economists warn that for every aerospace job lost, 3 more in local services could disappear. Multiply that across thousands of workers, and the crisis deepens fast. Suppliers, too, are hit hard. Specialized metals from Pennsylvania, cockpit electronics from Ohio, avionics from Texas, all risk being cut off as production shifts to Canada. One Dallas supplier put it plainly, "We invested millions to scale for Boeing. Now those investments are stranded." The ripple effects stretch into energy and resource industries. Aerospace consumes vast amounts of aluminum, steel, and rare earths. A slowdown in US production means smelters, mills, and processing plants across the Rust Belt face sharp declines. What began as an aerospace story now threatens America's broader industrial core. Politically, the timing couldn't be worse. Trump staked his second term on restoring US industry, especially in battleground states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Instead, pink slips are replacing paychecks, and the electoral consequences could be massive. Markets are already reacting. Boeing stock dropped sharply after the announcement, wiping out billions in value and jeopardizing pension funds tied to aerospace shares. Meanwhile, Canadian firms like Bombardier are soaring as investors bet on Ottawa's aerospace rise. Trump's response? Explosive. He accused Canada of economic treason and threatened retaliatory tariffs. But experts warn such tariffs could backfire, raising costs for US airlines already stretched thin while doing little to recover contracts already secured by Ottawa. And airlines are nervous. Delta, American, and United depend on Boeing for fleet upgrades. Delays could push them toward Airbus, or even new suppliers abroad, weakening America's grip on global aviation. This isn't just about economics, it's about prestige. For decades, Boeing wasn't just a company, it was a symbol of US industrial dominance. Today, Canada has shown that even allies can rewrite the rules. By capturing Boeing contracts, Ottawa has elevated itself from regional partner to global competitor, reshaping the aerospace order. This move wasn't luck. Canada has spent years building its aerospace base around Montreal and Toronto, investing in research and nurturing skilled talent. When U.S. tariffs disrupted supply chains, Canadian infrastructure was ready to absorb the shift. And now, the world is watching. From Europe to Asia, governments and airlines see a new player rising. Canadian suppliers are viewed as more stable, less politically volatile, and just as capable. Over time, this could shift the very center of North American aerospace north of the border. For America, the implications are staggering. Defense exports, diplomacy, and industrial prestige all rest on aerospace. If Canada becomes central to Boeing's production chain, Ottawa gains leverage in global negotiations, from NATO procurement to trade disputes with Washington. Meanwhile, rivals like China and Russia see an opening. Each contract moving to Canada weakens U.S. dominance, proving that America's industrial might can be contested, even by a close ally. The bottom line is this: Canada has rewritten the map of North American aerospace. Factories in Montreal and Toronto are now as vital to Boeing as those in Seattle or Wichita once were. Supply chains will follow, capital will follow, and power will follow the money. For workers in U.S. factory towns, the fallout is devastating. These are not abstract politics. They're mortgages, tuition bills, and retirement savings hanging in the balance. For Canada, it's an opportunity and a test. If Ottawa delivers, it cements itself as a permanent force in global aerospace. If not, the moment could slip away. For the U.S., it's a wake-up call. Boeing's contracts are not just business. They're about America's place in the global order. And right now, that order is shifting. Tensions between Washington and Ottawa have taken another dramatic turn. This time, the clash is over U.S. wheat exports. President Trump has been pushing for a sweeping new deal, demanding that Canada drop restrictions and allow American wheat to flow freely across the border. But Prime Minister Trudeau stood firm, blocking the move and tightening Canada's agricultural protections instead. The fallout is immediate. U.S. farmers in states like North Dakota, Montana, and Kansas are now staring down plummeting prices and unsold stockpiles. Grain silos are filling up, export routes are frozen, and small farming towns are bracing for a financial hit they simply cannot afford. And it's not just farmers. American food companies that depend on steady wheat supplies for bread, pasta, and cereal are now warning of price hikes that could hit families hard. Every trip to the grocery store could soon cost more, all because of this cross-border standoff. In response, Trump lashed out, accusing Canada of undermining American workers, while Canadian officials argue that they're simply protecting their own farmers from being wiped out. What's clear is that this is no longer just a trade dispute. It's a battle over who controls the future of food security in North America. So, what does this mean for everyday Americans? Rising food costs, job losses in farming communities, and a growing sense of uncertainty about whether Washington can really secure fair trade with its closest neighbor. The U.S.-Canada relationship is being tested like never before, and the outcome could reshape the economy on both sides of the border. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to stay updated as this story continues to unfold. Until next time, stay informed.